Alright, what's up, guys? It's your boy Dilla Pillow, and today is the top 25 songs of 2020. I'm really excited about this list. This group of songs kind of just fell together. You know, I've been mulling this over for most of the year, and these ones just really fell into place in this top 25. I'm really happy with how it turned out. You know, they're all. If you guys want to see me include my 26 to 50 as well, add 25 more songs, I would do that as well if you guys want to see it. If not, that's fine, but I could probably throw that list together. I made a grouping of 75 that I really liked, and cut it down to 25. Also, the top 15 albums video is coming out in a few days. Hope you guys are ready for that. But let's get this list started with the first track. Well, number 25 on this list, "Wash Us in the Blood" by Kanye West featuring Travis Scott. You know, I mean, it was great to hear Kanye on this level again. It's not something we'd heard in quite a while now, to be honest. He just brought a different energy. It had that Yeezus type of vibe to it. He was going crazy on this beat. He had some great energy. I mean, the music video, it was crazy too, made it memorable. I really just love the vibe of this track. It's one that I found myself replaying in the car time after time. That bass was just incredible. Really a track that just stood out to me this year. As soon as I heard it, I knew it was going to be in this list. It did fall down to number 25, but it definitely still deserved a spot. Really solid track. At number 24, we have the track "Obvious" by Ariana Grande off her newest album, Positions. I wasn't really sure, all about this album after a few listens, but this track alone really did stand out. It's just one that I found myself really coming back to. Just something about this production, the way she's singing it, a lot of different, keys. She's going high pitch, low pitch. It really is a well-rounded track. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Definitely one of Ari's best tracks, and definitely her best one to come out of this Positions album. Really liked it. Alright, number 3 is "Look Over Your Shoulder" by BUSTA Rhymes featuring Kendrick Lamar. When I initially heard this, I may have overhyped it and said it was the best song of the year. I wouldn't say it is in this case. It's definitely really good. It's a really great track. Kendrick feature was phenomenal. BUSTA Rhymes, adds just as good of a verse. However, I think the overall production, it is very nice. But it definitely feels old. I know this song was recorded way back in the day. And it shows in its ways. I think that these artists both have had better verses. I think it was great to hear Kendrick in this year, so maybe that's why I overhyped it initially. But this one eventually, kind of slid down a little bit, but still a phenomenal track. Got some really great flows by Kendrick. He does some singing parts in there too. And BUSTA, like I said, phenomenal verse as well. Really great track. Number 22 is "Good Morning" from Black Thought featuring Killer Mike and Pusha T. This track goes hard. I knew this was a banger from first listen. I didn't really know Black Thought coming into this track that well, and goddamn, he went crazy on this. Pusha brought that same energy that he always does. It's dirty, it's nasty. Killer Mike went hard on this too. He may have had the weakest verse, but I really ended up loving this track. It has such a playable effect to it as well. The hook is simple, but Swizz Beatz did his thing on it. I liked it a lot. This is probably the best track Black Thought put out this year individually, and it's overall just a banger, and it's powerful. I love it. Number 21 is "Dead Butterflies" from GORILLAZ off their new album, Song Machine. This is featuring Kanye, and with production from Mike Will Made It. I think the other feature is Roxanne Arias. Overall, this track really comes together very well. It's got a few different sequences to it. It kind of starts off kind of raw with that typical Gorillaz sound, and then Mike Will comes in with that production. I'm like, damn, that's kind of crazy. This track really turned out great. Kanye's verse was awesome. Hearing this different combination of couple of moods here, turned out to be a really, really good track, and definitely one of Gorillaz's best off this album this year. Number 20 is "FETUS" off of AMINE's new album, Limbo, featuring Injury Reserve on this track. And yeah, this was a really cool track. This is something I hadn't really heard a lot of, honestly, just talking about, being a father, potentially being a father. Amine is not in that situation yet, but talking about the struggles that have to think about when you come into this situation. Even if you have a ton of money, you have to be a father still. It's not any different. I mean, you have the opportunity to pay for certain things for them, but you still have to raise a child. Talking about it like that really was cool to hear. Injury Reserves, they had a few great verses, and that Grog's verse, man, that one really hit because Grog's passed away right before this track came out, and hearing him talk like that about being scared to be a father and be there for his daughter, and now he's not there because he's gone, and it's really emotional to hear that. But I think he added a really great verse, and it just makes you think even more about how hard it is to be a parent, how hard it is to be a child. Just thinking about all these imperfections in this song really displayed them well. Number 19 is The Bigger Picture by Lil Baby. I think this track is a little overhyped. It's still phenomenal, but just because it came from Lil Baby, it was like, whoa, he did that. But this is a great track for sure. I did a reaction to this way back when the channel was just starting up, and it was like, wow, this is powerful. Like, Lil Baby was speaking his shit. He's talking about the city. He's talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. He's talking about racial issues. He's talking about a lot of great things on this track. He did a phenomenal phenomenal job of making it a full piece as well. It's not just a little verse here, a little verse there. It comes together really well. This is definitely the best Lil Baby track I've ever heard, and I hope he does do something like this again. Number 18 is Lockdown from Anderson .PAAK. Pretty similar kind of style to the previous track, just a little bit more well done in my opinion. I was in between the two for a while, but Anderson .PAAK really breaks down this Lockdown thing. He adds a nice vibe to it. His vocals are incredible. It comes together really well. There were a few remixes, little different versions to this song, but I think the original version with just Anderson .PAAK on it was my favorite, to be honest. And they really, he was just really speaking about what was going on. It really represents this year very well. Black Lives Matter movement, lockdown, all of it combines it into a great track, and really one that you can replay as well. So it's powerful, replayable, really great track. Track 17 goes to Alone Together by QUADECA. This is probably pretty biased because I'm a huge QUADECA fan, but I think this is his best song ever. The production is very unique. It's experimental in a way almost. I've never really heard anything like that. The bass is just nasty. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like buzzing. It's crazy. He gets some great vocals on there. I've never really heard him perform like that well. That was great to hear. It shows he's gonna have a next step up for his next album. His verses were good too. It was emotional, and it kind of represents this year, alone together. We're all alone on our own, but we're all doing this together. I think it was really cool because this came out before the whole pandemic and all that. So, I'm really excited to see what QUADECA does next for sure. I've been thinking about this album for so long, and I hope it's more like this track because this was phenomenal. Number 16 is Shiva off Spillage Village's new album Spilligin. This one really just stood out. This was an album cut, and hearing this come out, one of the latest tracks on the album, it was just like the whole group vibing together on a track. Just really smooth track, really replayable. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. You just know there's just a certain vibe that you feel when you listen to this track that it just makes you want to hear it again and again. It is really well put together. Number 15 is Rainbow Bap by Jaden. I'm not a huge Jaden fan, but I listened to this track when it came out as a single, and I was like, oh my god, like, this had so many cool elements to it. It was a whole story. It was constantly progressing, changing. There were so many different elements to this. The production was incredible. Jaden's performance was really good too. He added some great vocals, great verses, some of his best rapping that I've ever heard. The outro was very Kanye-esque as well. He does typically show his influences, but on this he combined so many different ones and made it his own. So unique, such a unique track, that one that I wanted to hear over and over and over. So shout out to Jaden for this one. I was really impressed by this, and I can't wait to hear more from him. Number 14 is a track from RUSS called Momentum off of his most recent EP, featuring Black Thought and Benny the Butcher. And this was a pretty great song. I wasn't really sure what to expect from RUSS. Not really a big RUSS guy, but this track, wow. I mean, RUSS added a really good verse. He had some, corny one-liners in there, I'll be honest, but his verse was emotional. It was powerful. The production was phenomenal. The hook was, short and sweet because it was not about that. The verse from Black Thought was incredible, introspective about himself, how he looks now that he's made it. I mean, it was really great to hear. Benny adds a great verse as well. I mean, this overall was just a really, really phenomenal track, and just gives you a certain energy about it when you're hearing it. You're just like, you feel something. I don't know how to describe it. You just want to get out there and do something about it, and I like it. I really like this track, and it's definitely one I've been coming back to. Number 13 is Blue, Yellow, Green, Pink, White by WALE off of his EP earlier this year. I was really impressed by this song because he sampled the cha-cha slide, but made it something so unique as well. It really had me wanting to dance. It just has this energy about it that is so cool. I've never really heard a track like this. WALE adds some great verses as well. This is a super well-rounded track, definitely replayable. I don't know. I've just never really heard anything like this done this well, sampling a song that's so iconic as that and still making it phenomenal and almost better than the original. Was really great to hear. Was really impressed by WALE this year. Awesome EP if you haven't checked it out. Number 12 is Baptized by Spillage Village, also off of Spillage. And this one released as a single. And from the moment I heard this, I was like, holy crap, this energy is intense. Crazy verses from Dr. Dot, Johnny Venus, JID. They all matched each other. I don't think any verse stands out to me. They're all just so good. It's got this, intense energy about it. It's almost dirty, but it's like talking about how we got to baptize, these fellas, that are, getting themselves in trouble, get them, involved in this religion. It's really an interesting track in that way, and I like the way it turned out. I think the verses are all phenomenal and turned out to be great. Number 11 is a track from DUCKWRTH called Super Bounce off of his Super Good album this year. This track really stands out as one of the most vibey tracks of 2020, in my opinion. I've never really heard a track where I can just completely vibe out to this. It's featuring EarthGang as well. I mean, there's just some really great transitions, some different vocal inflections from EarthGang and DUCKWRTH. It just really comes together in such a way that I've never really heard such a smooth song. It's really great. If you haven't heard it, please check it out. It is so cool. Number 10 is actually kind of an EP, but it's 3 separate tracks that kind of combine into one. It's a total of like 6.5 minutes. It's called LINGO STARR by TOBI. He had a music video where it was all of them combined, and that's when the first way that I heard it. This was my first really like impression from TOBI, and I was like, wow, this is like super cool. This was such a cool different change in instrumentals, different vibes, different flows. I mean, there's so many different things in this that makes me, just every time I listen to it, I find something new. It's got some memorable moments. It's just really a great all-around collection of just moments, individual moments into like a one song or a little EP. But overall, I ranked it as a song. I think it's phenomenal altogether, and you guys should definitely check that one out. Number 9 is Dead Man Walking by BRENT FAIYAZ. This was the first time I'd really heard Brent before, and wow, this was amazing. I don't know. This just gave you such a chilling feeling. This instrumental was so layered. There were so many different things. There's violins underneath. There were plucked strings. It was so intense. I really did feel like I was out in the forest on my own, just being watched by somebody or something like that. But then Brent adds these really soft, beautiful vocals. It's unlike a track that I've really ever heard. This one really stood out to me over and over. I kept coming back to it. I'm like, is this really that good? And it was. It was continuously just in my rotation for a track that I was like, I don't really know how he did this. I really don't know how he did this, but it turned out great. It's phenomenal. Number 8 is another track off of Wale's EP. This one's Movin' Different. This one's another kind of dance influenced track. He kind of makes it, about how black people kind of are just, in this culture where they have to stand out in unique ways to make it. This one, like I said, dance influence, that's a big part of it for them. Wale adds some phenomenal verses on this as well. It's one that can get you dancing, but also get you, really listening and thinking from these verses. These are very interesting takes on what's going on in the world. It really was a great representation of the time period with the Black Lives Matter movement, and probably the best Wale track that I've ever heard, honestly. Number 7 is End of Days from Spillage Village. Again, another track off Spilligion. This was the first single that came out much before the album. This is the first time I really heard Spillage Village as a whole group, and wow. This was such a moment for me realizing what music can do about the situation. This was right after kind of the pandemic had started. Black Lives Matter was kind of starting up. And, this track drops about the end of days, about how God's left us. It's just the world is going bad. And I was like, wow, is it really? Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody knew what was coming at the time of this drop. So it was really just a moment that I won't forget from 2020. And they came together, all the members of Spillage Village, other than Black, I think, came together for a crazy good track. So many different moments on this, constantly progressing, adding in new elements. Everyone did a phenomenal job, and this is such a great track. Number 6 is the track Bald from JPEGMAFIA. Man, is this track a banger. I've never heard anything like this, to be honest. This is where, when I first heard this track, was one of my earliest Peggy tracks. I'd been listening to him for a little bit, but not really. Saw this dropped, put it on, and I was just hyped up. I was like, I wanted to perform this song. I've never performed a song in my life. And I thought, man, I want to get out this on the stage and just get out there and sing this shit. It is so good. I love it. I can't stop listening to it every single day. I'm probably like bumping it once or once every other day or something like that. And it's just like fuck that, bald. I just want to whip my hat off like that, and I want to see Peggy perform that. I can't wait to see him perform that, because I know he's going to go crazy on stage for that. Honestly, when this dropped near the beginning of the pandemic, I was considering just shaving my head because of this track, honestly. Because who was going to see my hair at the time period? You know, I thought that was a great idea. I ended up ordering a shirt that has the Peggy on it. It says bald all over it. I love this track. I really, just can't stop listening to it. One of Peggy's best produced tracks, in my opinion. Really intense, and I love it. Number 5 is a track from Childish Gambino off his 31520 album. It is Algorithm. A lot of people don't like this song. I personally love this song. I like these dance influenced tracks. The way I see it, he's talking about, kind of how they kind of just dance. They have to just dance. The black people are just performers, basically, for the white people because of the way the system set up the algorithm. And I really like the way he goes into this track. It's not super in your face. It's just kind of a dance, poppy kind of track. And he adds in these like lines that you just listen closely and you kind of hear what he's meaning from this. The way he kind of talks about white privilege, the setup that they have to kind of just, that black lives are almost pointless. And it's just like, he says these, meaningful, powerful, deep, sad things in the middle of such an upbeat track. It's a really interesting take on it. It really stood out to me and one of my favorite tracks, absolutely. Number 4 is the track Friday 13th from GORILLAZ featuring Octavian off the Song Machine album. Man, this one is next level. I've never heard a song that really has this emotion that is portrayed here. Octavian's vocals are incredible. The song is constantly progressing. And there's a moment in the track where he just kind of drops it off. And it's just like your brain just shatters from the emotions that you feel in that moment. And it's just like, wow, I've never really heard someone perform so well on an individual song. Octavian, I don't want to talk about Octavian as a person or anything, but this performance is so good. It's just that moment where he's like, we could be immortal. I'm just getting chills singing it, and I don't even sing it as well as him. Just a crazy good track. All right, number 3 is 327 from WESTSIDE GUNN featuring Tyler the Creator and Joey Badass off the Pray for Paris album. This gotta be the most chill track I've ever heard. I honestly can't think of anything like this track. This just, the instrumental is so soft, and the moments are not crazy. They don't all stand out, but the verses are so good from WESTSIDE GUNN, from Joey. Tyler has this moment where he starts to break out into singing. He's like, they say yeah on this, and I'm just like, another one of those moments where I'm just like, holy crap, like that's just pure beauty. I used to fall asleep to this track. It just really calmed me down. It just really focuses me. I don't really know what 327 stands for, to be honest, but this track is just so well done. It's phenomenal. It is. I can't really describe it in words, honestly. That's how good it is. All right, number 1. This was a really tough choice for me. One of these tracks I've loved for almost the entire year, and the other one came out later in the year, but really, really hit me hard. It was tough, but I had to stick with this order. Number 2 is 1238 from Childish Gambino and 21 Savage off the 31520 album. This is a crazy track. I love to explain my theory to you guys about this track, but basically the way I hear it, I've heard it so many times now that I've kind of created a theory about it. Basically, Gambino is in a place where he was just dumped or left a girl. He's depressed. He takes mushrooms to kind of clear his mind, give him a good feeling. He creates this imaginary girl that's perfect, in love with him, and then this trip starts to slowly wear off with the radio breaks in to kind of break him back into reality. Slowly going back down, things start to get bad, things start to go wrong. He's slowly getting worse. Crazy vocal inflections at different points in this track, but his character shift is phenomenal. It's just he does such a great job. It's like he's in his actor role on this track. And then we get to this point at the end where he kind of like drifts off to sleep, or he just gets so upset that he's just can't, this is the only thing he can think about. We bring in this 21 verse where basically 21 is embodying the person that Gambino wants to be. He wants to be this person who gets all the girls. He's rich. He has everything. He's happy without the drugs. And that's just such a moment in the track. 21's verse is incredible. So many bars and just that power that 21 has on a track. This one really stood out to me, one that I came back to so many times trying to understand this track. And I really think I nailed it down here at the end. It's so good. It is one of the most creative, unique tracks I think I've ever heard, and one of my favorite songs ever, to be honest. It is so good. All right, number 1 is Happy from Spillage Village off Spillage. Man, this song left such an impression on me that I had to put it at number 1. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard, to be honest. I've never heard anything like this song ever. I can't even describe it to you because I don't know how they did this. I don't know. But it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. It honestly made me cry so hard the first time I heard it. I don't even know why. But just there's different moments that are so emotional in this track. And it's just like I'm envisioning this whole thing happening in my head. I feel like it's happening to me. I listened to this song probably 70 times the first day I heard it. Just so unique. I've never heard anything like this track. The spoken word by Big Rube at the end as well just really wraps it up. It's so good. I'm trying to put into words as well as I can describe this track, but it's just so beautiful, but so sad, kind of just such an image in your head that you can't even describe, but you just feel it in your heart. I think that's exactly what they were going for in this track, and I think it's easily the best track of the year. And this year was a good year for music, in my opinion. A lot of these tracks I really love. I will definitely be coming back to. It's been a tough year for some artists, some albums. Some albums haven't dropped, so we got to hear some of these artists who wouldn't necessarily get this big moment like they usually do. They wouldn't in a regular year, and I'm really glad they did. I loved all these tracks. I'll absolutely be coming back to all of them. So let me know what you guys thought of this list. If you would change anything, if you disagree completely with some of my rankings, that's fine. Let me know. I'm happy to hear it, happy to discuss it with you guys. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. Those are linked in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.